So, Sarthak, why don't you kick us off by telling us about what the budget 2022, what the finance minister had to say about electric vehicles?
So I think electric vehicles has to be one of the most interesting industries across the world, not just in India. And I'm so glad that the entire budget speech was so spruced with, you know, words around technology, around EVs, around drones, around space tech and whatnot. That firstly, it's very impressive to see our finance minister be so up in her game, talking about all these things and acknowledging all these new trends. I think that was very impressive. Now, coming back to EVs, while of course the mention has been very fleeting, so there's been a talk about battery swapping, but I think similarly, another part of the speech was about fuel blending, which, while of course EVs to come in the space are going to take a few years. Till then, however, the government is looking towards bringing in blending of ethanol with diesel and petrol to ensure that they can at least contain the fuel, the carbon emissions to some degree. And on that account, one interesting thing I read recently is how, Balrampur Chini, which is a sugar manufacturer, is actually, it gets about 7 to 8% of its total revenues. It's got from ethanol production. However, 50% of its profits are from sale of ethanol. And the reason they've done it is because sugar production has a lot of molasses, which is produced as a byproduct. So they use it to produce ethanol, which is being used for fuel blending. So I see a lot of these sugar factories coming into the fray and now possibly setting up distilleries to double down on ethanol production, because this space is booming, especially with the government saying that by 2025 they want to at least move on to say 100% blending of vehicles which are not electric vehicles. So I think that was one big takeaway. So in fact, interestingly, in the EV space, KPIT Technologies is a stock which has been talked about in the investing circle a lot. And KPIT Technologies, again, is a company in the market in India especially, where their focus is now all towards automobile tech. So they're basically making software for controlling of how much wattage would be going from the battery into an electric vehicle. How would the car respond to if the battery charge is going down, and generating software to ensure that the car doesn't get overcharged. So those are things that KPIT Technologies is identifying these trends and working towards. So yes, I think a lot of action is going to happen in this space very soon. So one interesting mention in the budget speech was battery or energy as a service. And I think this problem basically is recognized because different car manufacturers are going to have batteries of different sizes, and they feel that the amount of infrastructure spend required to set up, say, superchargers across India, which is a necessity for EVs to go down on roads and really take over the Indian market. So they're saying that there should be some kind of policy around standardization of batteries, so that if you're losing power in your battery in your electric vehicle, you can just stop at a station, swap the battery with something which is available. So you could probably take subscription of different battery providers, so that's kind of like a replacement of superchargers in an early EV economy.